Hey everybody, welcome back to the Centaur Fragrance channel. Thank you so much for stopping by today. My name is Benjamin, and I do review fragrances, colognes, perfumes, and all things scent related. I love to help y'all save money, learn about fragrances, get into the notes. Let's talk about fragrance, because fragrance can help us smell good, it can help us feel good, and it can make our lives so much better. So today I wanted to introduce the house of Fragrenza to you and the fragrance world, everybody else out there. I don't think that there's been a video just introducing a lot of houses. I buy sample packs and I buy quite a few discovery sets, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of this in the future, and I love to do this. I was not asked to do this by this house of Fragrenza, and but I was sent quite a few of these for review. Not all of them, but quite a few of them. And I want to put their name out there and just show you this as an option. First off, before we even start, let's just mention the price. $60 USD for 60 mils. And sometimes they do have sales, special sales, seasonal sales that are quite good too. So overall, not bad, about $1 per mil. So if you put that into perspective, if you were to buy 100 mil, that's about $100. So about entry-level niche, high-level designer prices. But these are quite good, and I'm going to get into the details here. Stay tuned near the end, because I'm going to give y'all a little bit more of my opinion on if you should go for this house or not at the end of the video. But I do want to introduce some of these fragrances here to y'all real quick to give y'all an idea of what this house is all about. I personally can't find or don't know much of their backstory, and I plan on inviting the owner to an Instagram live kind of interview where we just share about fragrances and we talk about fragrances, and that's going to be a lot of fun in the future. So hopefully we can work that out. And let's first just talk about the packaging real quick. A lot of people don't care about the packaging, but overall, for supposedly just a clone house, it's a pretty good presentation here. Very nice overall, and it has a very good feel. So you're getting a really good quality for the money overall. Reflective bottles here that really do shine in the sun. They're kind of like they are a mirror, and they're quite beautiful overall. The juice inside, though, sometimes is questionable. This one here is a clone of More Than Words. It does save you a lot of money, and you do get a very similar smell. If you're not familiar with Wild Habanero here, this is one of their best sellers, and it's a fruity cocktail fragrance. It smells like fruit. It's not overtly sweet, which is nice. It does feel like a full-bodied fruit fragrance. I get a little bit more of a dark berry, or perhaps kind of like an unripened strawberry kind of feel to the fragrance. But overall, it's just florals and citrus and fruit. It dries down to some very light woods, and of course has a little bit of musk to it. Overall, it's a clean, well-done fragrance. I think that this is one of their better fragrances from the house. Some of them can be not the best. I do have to say that out there, that some of them do have a little bit of a powdery feel. Every brand, every house has their own signature DNA in a fragrance. And I feel like Fragrenza, the DNA of the fragrance is this like light, airy, cotton, almost a powdery type of feel that seems to go through a lot of the fragrances. And if you've never noticed that before, just try a couple fragrances out. Just try, you know, a couple Dior's, try some Chanel's, try some Guerlain's, and you'll notice that, especially if they're from the same line, they'll have a lot of the similar smell. Just a little bit of that backbone, just a little bit of that DNA, just enough for you to say, oh, that is a Dior or a Guerlain or a Chanel. So I do think that a little bit of that is going on in this house, and that's not a bad thing overall, because it helps this brand have a little bit of its own character. Overall, it's a nice fruity fragrance that's not very girly. I do think it's quite unisex. I do think that ladies would like this one a little bit more. It's Wild Habanero, and I do think I'm going to give this as a gift to my mom. But quite a good fragrance overall. It's playful, and without being overtly flirtatious or fruity, as in like bright, ripe fruit. It doesn't smell like it's freshly squeezed. It just feels like it's in a fruit salad, if you've ever come across one of those. So let's talk about another one of their fragrances. Let's talk about Divine X. This is a adaptation of X, I think it is, by Clav Christian. This is more of a dry, kind of like a nutty, spicy fragrance, kind of like nutmeg, or perhaps a really, really dry old cinnamon. This one is quite different. It has some character behind it. It is quite distinct as a fragrance. I haven't come across many, if any, fragrances that smell like this besides the original. Again, this brand likes to clone really exclusive high-end fragrances that are in the $300 maybe plus range. And again, these are $60 for 60 mils. So overall, I think it captures the smell pretty well. But I just don't love this fragrance, the Fragrance X for me personally. It smells a little bit musty, a little bit like an old library that's quite spicy. Has maybe a little bit of clove and nutmeg, some old spices going on. So overall, it's quite a nice fragrance, and it's not bad at all. So Divine X is not my favorite fragrance, and I think that's just because of the fragrance itself, not because of Fragrenza. I think they did a pretty decent job on this fragrance in capturing how it smells. So overall, a decent fragrance, but again, if you're taking a risk on these fragrances, these are clones of niche fragrances a lot of the time, and they might not be mass appealing for you, and I'm sure that you know that. But let's talk about one that I do love. This is Peach Blue. This is a clone of Blue Lazuli, and it's a beautiful fragrance. It is a beautiful plum pear fragrance with incense, a nice woody nature, and you're getting a little bit of that Lacoste Pour Homme feel, almost like a deep lavender. But it's beautiful, almost a little bit of that latent type feel with that kind of nice dark woods and that nice sweetness that's just well balanced and just works together just in a beautiful way. A tiny bit of tobacco going on in this fragrance. Peach Blue, I think, is my favorite from the house, and compared to the original, this one's a little bit darker. I think that this one is a little bit more masculine, and I do think the performance is pretty good on this one. Most of them have pretty good performance. Most of them are 7 or 8 hour fragrances. This house really focuses on the performance. So Peach Blue is a winner. It's one of my favorite fragrances, and honestly is quite complimented because it fits my personality. And again, it has that latent type DNA. Beautiful plum, beautiful smooth, kind of deep woods without being dry, without being vetiver-like or inky or anything like that. It has a beautiful tobacco and an incense that just helps the fragrance have more of a full body, a little bit lighter, but then gives a little bit of that refinement and a little bit of that class to this fragrance. So Peach Blue is, I think, a really good fragrance, especially if you want to smell a little bit different than Leighton, but you do like the smell of Leighton. I think that Peach Blue is definitely a really good fragrance to go for. The next one I'm going to share with y'all is Immortal Zeus. Now, you can already guess it. Zeus, lightning, maybe a reference to a god or a king. We're talking about Aventus here. Yes, another Aventus clone. There's probably 20 of them now. But Immortal Zeus is an interesting one. I'm sure this sells very well. Everybody likes Aventus, it seems. Everybody wants a Aventus clone of their own with their own personality, something that they can call their own. That is a clone. This one, to me, has a little bit of a lemon drop feel. If you're unfamiliar with lemon drops or lemon heads, they are a candy. I don't know if they originate from the U.S., but I know a lot of people in the U.S. know about them. It has a little bit of that feel. It has a little bit of a candy feel. It does have a little bit of lemon to it. Of course, the signature pineapple. As it dries down, though, it doesn't have particularly any of the oak moss and particularly any of the smokiness. To me, it becomes a little bit more on the musk side. So I do feel like that's quite nice for this style of fragrance. So a nice Aventus clone or clone that is a little bit more youthful with that candy vibe, with a little bit more sweetness It does have pineapple to it, and it dries down to a musk. If you wanted something that was unisex, something that you could share with a significant other, if you wanted something that was a little bit playful, and you do like that Aventus type DNA, I think that you're going to be very happy with this fragrance. And it's going to do you right. And again, the performance is quite good. Again, it's not for me. It's a little bit too youthful. I do tend to like fragrances a lot of the time that are more masculine. I do feel or portray that kind of feeling, I think. So overall, a really nice fragrance. I think that this one might be gifted as well. But a great creation, definitely, for sure. So the next one I have to share with y'all is my second favorite, probably. Very close to Peach or Blue that I've tried from the house. This is Rivolare. This is a original creation. And this one is a beautiful, very minty, kind of like a pear sorbet. So if you've ever had pear sorbet or like a pear ice cream and you put a beautiful mint on it, and then you had like mate powder and you decide to put that on there, and some beautiful tea. I did a review of this fragrance, I believe, and I talked about this fragrance. I gushed over it. My friend over there at Devilish Scents taught me the word lush, or reminded me of it. I was lushing over this fragrance because Rivolare is a beautiful fragrance, and I'm very happy that this brand exists and that they created something like this. It is an original creation. I think it is a distant cousin, a very distant cousin to Chanel Leur Homme Edition Blanche, which I think is probably the best designer citrus on the market. This one is a little bit more on the lime side, a little bit more on the green side. It's fresh, minty, happy. Think of something like a green apple, but overall, it's a green fragrance, but it is super modern, super approachable. Nothing old-fashioned here. There's some sweetness and some playfulness. This is quite a unisex fragrance, but because of the green aspect and because it's so minty, I just love to wear it. And I love Rivolare. It's one of my favorite fragrances in my collection, and that's saying a lot. So Peach or Blue and Rivolare are winners in my book. So the next one I have to share with y'all is Oriental Diamond. This one, again, is a clone just like any others. You can Google or go to their website, which I will link in the description below, and you can learn about more of these fragrances and what these fragrances are meant to be clones of. This one, I believe, is supposed to be meant to be more feminine, but I do think it's quite unisex as well. It's a beautiful, clean, almost like a cottony fragrance. It has, again, I think the classic Fragrenza DNA, but it's a little bit sweet, but it still has, trying to capture the feel of like a crystal. It is just a very fresh, clean, white musk kind of fragrance. It does smell a little bit cotton-like. Overall, it does have a little bit of sourness that helps make this fragrance have a little bit of more elegance and a little bit more character. Overall, a very nice fragrance, but I do have to go today. But I wanted to introduce this house. Let me know what y'all think about these fragrances. If you like clone houses, if you're interested in them. I'll see y'all next time. This is the Scent-A-Tar Fragrance channel. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see y'all next time. And bye.